Thanks everyone who has joined us so far. If you're catching us on the retransmission, thank you for watching this video. Today my name is Fernando Dreyfus. Every day my name is Fernando Dreyfus, today as well, but I'm here with Ira Miller as well.
Hi.
And today is a very special day. It's Ira's birthday. We're celebrating this by talking a little bit about this new mechanism, this new functionality of the Guld BLOCKTREE, which is the launch of personal tokens, namely birthday ICO. Today we'll be discussing some of the requirements, what actually is a personal token, how the mining, the economics of this would work, the value of this token, and the items in which it can be redeemed. We're talking about being able to group up your time in advance, determine value and price rates for your activities, and then bringing it out into the world and selling the time as an ICO. Can you tell us a little bit more about like the general, what made you think about this birthday ICO idea?
Well, I mean, doing it on the birthday is just kind of natural. If you're counting your time, that's when your time started, right?
Yeah.
It's a round number. But I think token economics is interesting because you can quantify and make contracts about any kind of data stream. And I'm always curious when I'm doing token economics of what can you contract about or what could you tokenize. And we have many fun discussions about tokenizing strange things like carbon debits.
Yeah.
That no one's ever thought of before, but like, could you tokenize it? Could you find a way to capture and isolate the value of a debit or trolling, like how good of a troll you are. And it seemed to me for a while that the holy grail of digital identity is that proof to tokenize identity in abstract. Anyone who was here before saw the presentations to the lawyers, got a build-up of how we get to that proof of identity. But it's basically this concept of heartbeat, that your heart is beating all the time, you account for all of the heartbeats, and that pattern of your heart beating is your identity. So this is what our concept of identity is in Guld. That's what we've been working with theoretically since the beginning, but it has not been practical from a technology and usability standpoint up until now for anyone to keep all of their data, all their digital events and their digital heartbeat on the network. And I think for the first time now we're at that point. We had to push. This is a hackathon that we had a lot of people working on, but we did get all of the proof of concept for personal ICO, personal time tokenization, all done. So I'm really proud of the team, grateful and excited that we've finally taken this step.
So in terms of if someone wanted to replicate the event of taking your data stream, tokenize it in time, and take it out and launch it and present it to the world, a lot of the tools that are required for this have been built for this platform and you have them available, right? You mentioned that we need, the first one is the data stream, the information that is being produced. Because this is of a person, let's say comparing it to something off a blockchain where blocks are produced on a timely basis, let's say Bitcoin every 10 minutes, you have a unit of time that is also being tied up to this. Do you have a unit of time that is tied up to?
Not in the same way that Bitcoin and Ethereum have time. It's similar in the sense that it is not absolutely aligned with our concept of time. Time is a very tricky thing, hard to define, hard to measure, and hard to come to any kind of consensus about because it is inherently relative. However, what Guld does is provide a series of proofs that are ordered. right? And that creates a natural time. This event happened before that event, happened before that event. It's causality in the information layer. It's not clear how granular this sense of time contractually on the network can be. It partially depends on how many participants there are and how much latency or how quickly they're able to negotiate consensus. Basically, the smallest unit of time that it will take them to achieve consensus on the network will become the unit that you could measure contracts in. You know, is it 1 unit of this, is it 2 units of that? Anything less than that, we're not going to be able to tell the difference well enough to decide on the contract.
And again, going back on the contracts, this is a really important part of this whole process. Like why something like this can work is because we have the mechanics and how the interaction of the economics from the point of the person who is acquiring the tokens to the point of reclaiming it to the point of actually redeeming them and using them. All of these things are made through publicly witnessed validatable contracts. These contracts, for example, the relevant ones to your coin, ISSD, would be located on the ledger branch.
Gold, so documents, gold, legal.
Documents, gold, legal. So it would be on your legal branch of documents for the ISSD personal token.
For gold in this case, because they're generic contracts.
Okay.
Stacia, Eldad, Christine, and our other contract contributors have made these contracts parameterized and generic. So the contract that you'll find in the gold legal documents is individual ledger sale, I believe or individual token sale is the name of the contract. Everything is parameterized. So for instance, the name of the token, in my case, ISSD, is parameterized, as well as my name, my signing key, the other party's name and signing key. Basically, the templates on the gold standard templates the gold standard contracts are templates, and when you sign, you fill in the variables and sign the variable definition file, right? So you have these template contracts that say party 1 agrees to this, party 2 agrees to that, so on. They define an arbitrator, they define 5 other variables, right? We don't have to take all of this filler to make our copy of the contract. We just have to define party 1, party 2, and the other variables, right? And say, fill these variables in for that contract.
And this is what makes this contract forkable, so that other people can use it because it's generic.
Right.
It's not something specific to your needs, but something to the parameters of how this coin would work by someone else who adds their specific parameters to it.
Right, yeah. Right. So, you know, one reason I'm really happy with the process that we've had so far is we got to work out some of the kinks in this process of what are the rules for a individual token. This is a new thing that we're going to allow on gold. And it's not clear. It was not clear until going through this process what were reasonable rules to lay out for a personal token. And what we've come up with is that a person must